Welcome to the Confidence Through Health podcast. My name is Jerry Snyder. As a health, wellness, and sports performance coach, my goal each week is to bring you experts to help you take control of your health and build your self-confidence. Thanks for including me today on your journey to better health. I'd like to thank our sponsor for this episode, All In Health and Wellness. If you're looking for a health coach, you're looking for a sports performance coach, you're looking for nutrition guidance, like for instance, a meal-by-meal plan that will help you understand how to eat. It will teach you how to eat, and it will give your body, your cells, the proper nutrition to feel great and be able to perform at your best, not just physically, but also emotionally and mentally. If you're looking for those things, you're looking for the key to improve your sports performance, both from a nutrition standpoint and an exercise physical standpoint and a mental standpoint as you approach your athletic event. All In Health and Wellness is able to help in these areas. Go to allinhealthandwellness.com and you'll find the contact information for how to get in touch with them and get started on the plan that will improve your life.
So Ann, I want to thank you for being a guest on the Confidence Through Health podcast.
Thanks, Jerry. Thanks for having me.
So one of the big things that I try to help people with is getting out of their own way, right? And from a health standpoint, that's a big piece of it is getting out of your own way and stop listening to all the noise that's out there, right? And in the health world, there's so many things out there, and people don't understand where to go, what to do, who to listen to. This contradicts that, blah blah blah, all this stuff, right? And you wrote a book called The Life Hack Playbook: Proven Shortcuts to Peace and Purpose, which I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have you on to talk about this, because while it may not be specifically health related, life is health related. And if we can figure out ways to get things done in one part of our life, we can usually translate that to other parts, correct?
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think a lot of people think that it has to be like specific plans for all the different areas. And I agree with you. I think there's kind of a mindset shift a little bit that takes it from really kind of making things hard for yourself.
Yeah.
Things are hard. They are, but it's like you get to choose your heart and you get to kind of reframe what that looks like. I think
Right.
A lot of people see discipline as an example, as a punishment. Well, if you kind of reframe that as more like self-love and what your goals are, it's kind of like a little hack that you do in your head. But by doing that, it's like you really realize that you're investing in yourself and the importance of that, instead of feeling like, oh, this fitness is a punishment, or,
Right.
eating right is a punishment. It's like, no, I love myself enough to want to feel good all the time, not just for the 5 minutes that this cheeseburger is going to make me feel good. So when
Right.
you kind of reframe it that way, it can be part of wellness, part of work, part of what your goals are, is just kind of changing that and making it more approachable.
Right. Well, and it is discipline, and it's understanding. I think sometimes it's understanding what your goals are and being able to say, okay, this is my goal in the future. And while it may seem far off, I think anybody that's had kids realize time flies by,
Yes.
right? Like, oh my gosh, my daughter's driving. Oh my, what happened? They were just little bitty, right? And then all of a sudden, boom. And so that time, and from what I've heard from people older than me, is that it just continues to fly by faster and faster and faster, right? And so that goal that we set, that maybe 10 years out, that we then have to go, well, today I can't do this, which I really want to, because my goal in the future, we don't correlate that as well. And so that discipline really does keep us on track to be able to go like, no, this is what I really want. I just can't have it today.
Yes, exactly. One thing also that I heard that I want to add right now is that I talked to someone recently and they said, "Show me the evidence." Right. So it's like, if you have these goals, which unfortunately the number of people that actually set goals is
Right.
pretty low, which is sad. Right. So it's
Yeah.
like, I think people don't think that they should. That the time is worth it, maybe, or that they don't have the time to kind of set the goals. Doing that is really important. Put it down
Right.
on paper, put down short-term goals, long-term goals, but then show me the evidence, right? So if you
Right.
say that your marriage is important, show me on your calendar where date nights are. If you
Right.
say that saving for your kids' college is important, show me where in your budget you have money that's going to that. So it's like a lot of people, I think, don't understand the goals and then also just really taking care of yourself enough to throw up evidence that leads to those things, proving that those things are a priority to yourself, not to anybody else, right? Like
Right.
when I say show me the evidence, don't show me the evidence, show yourself the evidence, but I think that that's a really powerful one that I have worked with lately, where I feel like, okay, I like that because I say, yes, this is important. Then show yourself where you're doing something to prove to yourself that that is important.
Right. Well, in today's world of social media, right, and doom scrolling and all the different and they know what they're doing, the people that are in
Mhm.
charge of all those things, right? And
Yes.
we laugh and joke about it, but yes, the phones are listening and they're giving you, targeted marketing. And if you don't have those concrete times set in your calendar for the things that you really want to accomplish, there are other things that will take your time away from you.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, they've made a whole business out of it, right? Like you
Yeah.
said, that's what the business is to steal your attention, to steal your
Mhm.
focus, to steal your energy. Your energy is your most valuable resource.
Mhm.
People don't understand that, so it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I was doom scrolling, or oh, I encourage people to really get savagely self-aware with what they're doing in their lives, because I've never once talked to somebody that, finished an hour on Instagram and was like, I feel refreshed. That should tell you everything you need to know. It's like, stop doing
Yeah.
that then. We're not
Right.
children. It's like,
Yeah.
we're not children that say, like, but I want to have that candy. It's like,
Mhm.
we're adults. If it doesn't make you feel good and it doesn't add value to your life, stop doing it.
Right.
It's literally that easy. And I know people get twisted up and it's like, oh, but it's this, but it's that. If you need something on your phone to be able to distract you from something, find a a word app that teaches you the word of the day, or
Mhm.
find something that that is going to add value to your life.
Right.
It's either adding or taking away value. Look at every single thing that you do in your day, but from a really savage self-awareness
Mhm.
perspective, and get real with yourself. Does this lead to what my goals are?
Right.
Right? Taking the hour that you were going to spend today on social media and sit down and do a vision board or write your goals out, and then
Mhm.
just start evaluating things that you do within your day to see if it lines up with that.
Right.
Because people are real quick to fool themselves, and I
Mhm.
just think, who wins there?
Right.
You're the one that wins if you put in the energy and the effort into your life. You're passing down behaviors and modeling behaviors for your children. Do
Right.
you want them to think that that's okay for them to waste hours of their day on a smartphone that's designed to rob their energy and their
Yep.
attention? We know that, right?
Yep.
The data points are in. It's like we don't have to look and say, like, is social media good for us, or is media good for us? Is
Mhm.
whatever it is, right? Like I
Yep.
personally have taken just about everything that doesn't have any value. I don't think politics has value for
Right.
me, so I don't plug into that. I
Yeah.
don't think media in general, not just social but regular, so I
Yeah.
don't plug into that. It's like you were talking before we started about going to the beach, and it's like, go get outside.
Yep.
Look at the time that you spend with your face in that device.
Mhm.
Stop it. That
Yeah.
doesn't, there's no health or wellness in there, I
Right.
guarantee you.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Well, and it does come down to taking a big pause, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I looked at it and goes, okay, what's missing? And as a runner, people always ask me, because I run anywhere from 35 to 70 miles a week, depending on my training schedule, right? And 70 miles a week, okay, well, so you're thinking 10 miles a day, every day. You're out there for over an hour. And they're like, oh, what do you listen to? And I'm like, I don't listen to anything. I don't take my phone. I don't, it's me. And there's a safety piece to that, because I want to hear cars if they're coming by, or dogs if they're right. So there's a safety piece to that. But there's also like, I want to be aware. And
Yeah.
I'm in my head and I'm thinking, and sometimes I'm just, and people laugh, but I'm like, sometimes literally I'm running for an hour and I'm just on repeat with the same song in my head over and over and over.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Isn't that
doesn't
beautiful?
that doesn't that drive you nuts? And I'm like, no, it like calms my system,
Yeah.
And there's times where I'm like, one of my books, I wrote the book while I was running,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, this is what I want to say. This is what, and so getting away from our phone is I think the first step, and away from everything, all the noise.
Yes,
and
I
say,
couldn't
who
agree
do
with
I
you
want to
more.
be?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And it's like people say, oh, but it's so hard. It's like, yeah, but you're the one that's making it so hard. Set
Right.
your phone down and walk away. Just
Yeah.
do it for 10 minutes, maybe, right? Because you build up to it. And I
Yeah.
agree with you. I have different things during my week that are no phone zones, right?
Mhm.
Where I just set it down and I, go leave your house without your phone and feel how liberating that is. That's
Right.
scary to people because they're like, well,
Oh, yeah.
where would I use my map or where would I,
Mhm.
whatever? It's like, what did you think we did 20 or 30 years ago? Not that
Right.
long ago. You'll figure
Right.
it out. You can find your
Yep.
way to the grocery store,
Mhm.
But it is, I mean, the noise, when you talk about just that noise, that's what we're fighting against, right? That's what our energy is being stolen by. That's where
Right.
they're really getting into I talk about emotional intelligence quite a bit and talk about that. I think the majority of people have really elementary emotional
Mhm.
intelligence levels. No offense to anybody, because I was in the exact same boat.
Right.
But once I realized how important that is, and that I think EQ is actually more important than IQ
Right.
in the grand scheme of things, then I've done everything that I possibly can to figure out how to elevate mine, whether that's, books that I read, research that I do, habits that I
Mhm.
that I put into place. I'm the one that directly benefits, as do my children and the people that I work with and
Right.
everyone. So why would I spend an hour wasted doing something numbing out when I could
Yeah.
be investing that into myself,
Mhm.
which does include turning the noise off, getting real about what I want in this life.
Yeah.
It makes me sad to look around because I think most people are in airplane mode. That's how
Mhm.
I kind of describe that is
Yeah.
think about the function of your phone when you're in airplane mode and how little you can do compared to what you can do when it's out of airplane mode. And
Right.
so I encourage people highly to figure out how to get out of their own airplane mode so that they
Mhm.
can start living life in color.
Yeah. Well,
Mm.
and what happens, and I love the EQ piece, because what happens is then you find those people, and you might find that person and go like, how are you so happy? Like,
Yeah.
you must be that closet millionaire, right? That like nobody knows about. And so you're just able to, it's like, but they're working on a quote normal job, right?
Hmm.
They're doing just, they going through life. They're just happy. It's because they're not bothered by what other people think they should have, what social media says is the ideal life, right? Like, they're not bothered by any of those things because they know what their goals are. They know they're on track for their goals, or maybe they're already reaching their goals, and they're like, my life has purpose. I'm good.
Yeah, isn't that great? When
Mhm.
we don't compare ourselves to other things and when we say, what does happiness look like for me? Society has turned into, especially with social media, this comparison game
Right.
of, well, here's what the Joneses have, so this is what I should have. Or for young girls, obviously I'm a girl, and so specifically for me, it's like, okay, what does success look like? It's
Hmm.
if you're married by this age, if you have 2.3 children by the time
Right.
you're 30, if you're this, if you're that. And then if you're not hitting those targets, you feel like a failure. And it's like, who prescribed those targets to
Yeah.
us? Right.
Hmm.
Because what I will tell you is I reached all of those things before I was 40, and
Yeah.
that's not where happiness lived.
Right.
Right. I had never been more miserable in my life. I lived in this big, beautiful house in Paradise Valley and drove a
Yeah.
Mercedes and had all of the, blah, 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 blah. And I literally have never been more miserable in my life.
Yeah.
And I look back to the times when we first got married and we were in our little starter home and, didn't have any money, but we were
Right.
really working on our goals and all of those things. I'll go back to that all day, every day.
Right.
And so it's like,
Yep.
I really want people to get aware of what they're working towards, because when you're
Yeah.
just looking at highlight reels on social media of, the mom next door whose kids are eating kale chips, who has a,
Yeah.
six-pack abs and a side hustle that makes her millions. It's like, you guys, that's not real life.
Yeah.
Plug in, and maybe it is for people. I don't mean it in that way, right? But like, plug into what's important to you instead of comparing yourself. Because as soon
Right.
as you compare yourself, everybody loses. The
Yep.
girl you're comparing yourself to, your comparison, like, we're all individual snowflakes. Figure
Mhm.
out what makes you happy and your ingredients instead of chasing this unattainable, whatever it is that we're all chasing.
Right. Well, and I say this because my son's 14 and he has ADHD and he has a couple of other issues. And so, he'll do something and we're like, oh my gosh, you're still 4 years old. Or, oh my gosh, you're still. And then we talk to other parents or teachers, and they're like, no, he's just like every other boy. He's just
Yeah.
like it's just they're, but then that leads to what's he going to do with his life, right? And I know that there's a lot of parents out there with the same thing with their kids. Like, what are they going to do? They're never going to leave the house. They're never going to da da da. But then I fall back on, okay, well, what makes them happy? And there's a
Yes.
lot of people out there in the world that are doing things that you don't have a clue what their job description is, what the title is, like what they actually do, because there's such a variety of things nowadays where
Yeah.
people can be and find success and 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 can be happy. And like, we don't have to shove the traditional, you have to be a doctor, lawyer, teacher, police officer, right? Like that's so 1950s.
It is.
You know, I mean, now there's the kids that are being born right now, like the jobs that they're going to do haven't even been invented yet.
You're absolutely right, and so that's why it's like, don't get twisted up so much in the future and what they're gonna do. It's like, what makes you happy right now?
Yeah.
I had very, detailed, specific things that I wanted for my kiddos. It was like, okay, I want you to go to college, and I want you to this, and I want you to that. And I have a 19-year-old son who just finished his first year of college, which he was going for football, not for
Mhm.
actual college, right?
Right. Right.
And decided he doesn't want to play football anymore because he's wants to do some traveling and some other things. And my husband was having a hard time with it for a little bit. It's like, this is his path, number
Mhm.
one. And also, there's no rules.
Right.
There's no rules. Like, who makes up all of these rules that kids
Yep.
have to get in line, go to college for a degree that they're not going to use?
Yep.
Most kids nowadays, if you look at what's happening, don't use their college degree.
Right.
It's 4 years of making bad decisions,
Yep.
developing unhealthy relationships with alcohol,
Mhm.
and there are other things that happen in life, and just falling into the herd. And it's like, that's the
Yeah.
last thing that I want. If my son
Right.
wants to go travel and do day trading and make his money doing that and figure stuff out, go do that. Yes,
Right.
king.
Right.
That's what I encourage. So it's like 14 and he doesn't know what he wants to do. Perfect. Is he
Yep.
happy today? Right? Is he working on things that make him a better human being, whatever that looks like, right? Whether
Yeah.
that's fitness, whether that's mental, whether that's emotional. People make excuses, and excuses are something for me where I just think it's emotions that you've got, that you've let go unchecked, right? Because it's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to. It's like, who cares? Who cares if you don't want to get up at 5 a.m. and go do that workout? Do that workout anyways. You're the one that benefits from that. And
Right.
also, I want to hand that behavior down to my kids, not excuses filled with, I don't want to do the things that are good for me. I want to do all the things that are good for me. Am I going to
Right.
also sometimes say, I'm not going to today because I'm going to make that choice? Sure, of course. But
Mhm.
I'm not just going to sit there and numb my life out. Like, what
Right.
a waste.
Right. Well, and from a health standpoint, that's one of the life hacks that everybody needs to adopt is get out and see the sunrise. Right?
Yes.
Like, not necessarily every day, right? And of course, there's
Yeah.
going to be cloudy days, and there's going to be days like today. Yeah, like yesterday here where I am. Yesterday it was 81 degrees at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. By 6 o'clock it was 65. This morning we wake up, it's 35. Don't get up and see the sunrise. It's okay,
Yes.
right? It's not an ideal situation,
Sure.
but like in 3 days when it's back to 70 degrees in the morning, you get
Yeah.
up and you see the sunrise. And every sunrise is different, right? So you're going to get something out of every different one. And there's going to be that moment where something clicks because you've
Yeah.
turned everything else off. And
Yes.
nature's going to speak to you. The world's going to speak to you. Your spirit's going to speak to you and go, this is where you need to be.
Yeah, that's where you find clarity, right? In that stillness. I couldn't agree with you more. I think, people that are, they say that they're depressed. It's like, well, stop doing depressing stuff.
Right.
It's
Yep.
like, if you leave your phone in front of your face all the time, or you're in front of the TV, or you're drinking alcohol and numbing out all the time, or whatever your numb of choice is, right? You can
Yep.
use all of these things of
Yep.
whatever your numb of choice is, food,
Yep.
blah, 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 blah. If you're doing those things and not out in nature and not with the sun on your face and not doing all of those things that we know make us feel better, what do you expect?
Yeah.
Right? Like people act surprised. Why are you acting surprised? We have in Arizona, we have spring training right now.
Right.
End of February and March are spring training for us. I will go out. I don't even watch baseball that much.
Mhm.
I will go out and sit in the lawn on my blanket and
Mhm.
listen to the people around me and listen to the game as it's happening and feel the sun on my face. No phone, no
Right.
anything. Just lay there. Right? It costs $20 to go sit in the grass and do that.
Yeah.
Do more of that, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the stuff where when I'm done, I feel energized. I feel whatever. Could I make excuses and say I don't have time or I don't want to or like whatever? Sure, of course. But it's like I know if I make make the time to go do that,
Mhm.
I'm going to feel better. Do
Right.
more of those things, right? Like it's literally, it's a game. If you
Yeah.
treat life like a game and you put more things in that make you feel good, that make you happy, that make your soul smile, like all of
Yeah.
that, and less things that drain you, that make you feel depressed, that make you feel sad, that's literally the game. That's
Yeah.
it. Feed your energy to things that feed you, starve the things that make you feel like crap.
Right.
Like it's literally that simple.
Yeah. Well, and the way that we grew up was you do these things. This is life. This is right. You take these steps. You do these, and like you said, you buy your house at this age. You have your kids at this age. You've got 2 cars. Da 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 da. You retire at this age. Like there's okay. That may be the old way because it was really, and when you dig into it, it was the society and system that set it up that way. From a we need workers and we need things. There's so many avenues now. There's so many ways to do things that you don't have to fall into that system. And so it really can be, what are the 3 things that today are going to bring me joy and move
Yes.
my purpose? And if you accomplish those 3 things by 10 o'clock in the morning, great, add 3 more or
Yeah.
do nothing, right?
Yes.
Like go out and sit outside at the pool or
Yeah.
waste time in a healthy way.
Yes.
But we don't have to be on this wheel where we're just constantly moving and going because inevitably we're going to wind up going somewhere we don't want to go.
It's totally true, and I think a lot of that hamster wheel that you talk about is people that just aren't intentional with things, and so they just think, okay, that's the next right thing, and like da, 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 da. Stop it. Like
Mhm.
and when you're talking about going out and seeing the sunrise and doing it in peace and quiet and allowing your mind to catch up for a minute, when you talk about going for a run and allowing your mind to just do what your mind wants to do,
Right.
let's plug back into those simple things. That's how you slow the hamster wheel down, right?
Right.
And then you figure out how to step out of the hamster wheel entirely.
Yeah.
Because like you said, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, whatever, yes, times were very different. Things are completely different now. We have a world of information at our fingertips. I don't know if anyone's heard of this thing called the World Wide Web, but it
Right.
literally has everything on there that you can
Yep.
find that says like, how do I regulate my nervous system? How do I, the things that that are super important to have you have a healthy, happy life, because I guarantee you it's not trying to make as much money as your neighbor Sharon so that you
Right.
can make sure to have the fancy bag and the whatever. There's no meat on that bone. Just so
Yeah.
everyone understands that. Like, let me be the one that stands up and says, hey, that's not where happiness lives, guys. And just so
Mhm.
everyone knows, when you get to that goalpost of what the keeping up with the Joneses is, the goalpost moves. So
Right.
you're literally spending your entire life chasing something that you will never get.
Yep.
It will be, I will be happy when I have this thing, that thing, this car, this whatever. Why? I
Yep.
would rather drive around a Pinto that's paid off
Mhm.
than something that has me drowning in debt to try to
Yeah.
keep up with someone that isn't even thinking about me.
Right.
People think like, oh, I want to look like this or I want to what? Why? What do you
Yeah.
get from that, right? I want to be at peace. I want to have joy. I
Mhm.
want to live my life where my family is important and where I model behavior to them about not just numbing out with their lives, but figuring out what their highest excitement is and
Right.
chasing that.
Yeah.
It's like that's what I want to show my kids. And you
Mhm.
don't tell them that, you show them that. So
Right.
if you're doing the martyr behavior, the overcommitting, the saying yes when your body is screaming for you to say no, if you're doing all of those things, that's what you're handing down to your kids.
Yeah.
And if that's good enough for them, then just know that, okay, great, you made that decision. But if that's not what you want to hand down to your children, you have to do something different. You can't
Yeah.
just say the thing, you have to do the thing.
Well, and that doing is, again, where that discipline comes in, right?
Yeah.
Am I really this person? Is this really what I want?
Mhm.
And am I okay being different from
Yes.
whether it's the close-knit people in my or just society in general, right? And it's like, am I okay being different? Am I okay when if I say something about myself that if somebody overhears it, they're like, "Oh, wow, you're weird."
Yeah.
Like, weird's okay.
Weird's a compliment, right? Weird's
Right.
a compliment in my life. When I'm like, "Ooh, that's weird." I love that, right? I
Yeah.
don't want everybody that's in this herd of people that are numbed out entirely and are just going through life like zombies. That's literally what I feel like when
Yeah.
it's like, "Oh, we all have to be the same and we all have to go towards these same things so that we don't seem like we stand out or that we're uncomfortable or that we're awkward, be
Mhm.
brave, be weird, chase whatever makes you happy." That's what the world needs more of.
Yeah.
People don't realize we don't need more people that are numbed out doing the exact same thing. We need
Mhm.
whatever you were meant to do in this life,
Right.
whatever your highest purpose is or whatever your highest excitement is, do that. That's what the
Yeah.
world needs.
Yeah. And I'm a firm believer in if you reach your goals and purpose that you were created with, the gifts that you were given, that if you use those in reach, and when I say success, it's not necessarily financial,
Agreed.
it's reaching the potential that you've been given. If you can reach
Yeah.
that or go beyond, everybody benefits.
I agree. I could not agree with you more. And so it's just reframing that, when
Mhm.
it's like people say things are so hard or that this is that and whatever. And it's like, yeah, but you're the one making it that way.
Mhm.
It's like, yes, there are non-negotiables that we have to do, right? We have to adult, we have to keep
Right.
food on the table. There's certain things that we have to do, but you're the one that is holding the paintbrush. Why
Right.
are you making it so
Right.
hard? Right?
Right.
It's like when people say that, when you make it out like that, when you're looking for the negative, when you're
Mhm.
looking for the excuses, when you're looking for all of that, you're making life unnecessarily hard.
Yeah.
Right? I'm the one holding the paintbrush. I'm going to make this life as much fun as I possibly can. And does
Right.
that mean I can do hard things? Sure. Right?
Yeah.
People don't understand, like, life is hard no matter what. You get to
Sure.
choose your hard though, right? Being
Yeah.
fat, hard. Working
Mhm.
out and staying on your fitness, hard. Being
Mhm.
poor, hard. Working,
Mhm.
hustling and making money, also hard. So it's
Yep.
like that's where the comparison game comes in because people look and they think, oh, well, that person has money. Why don't I have money?
Yeah.
Why are you worried about that? If that's something that's important to you, figure out what you need to do for that. But make
Right.
sure that that's something that's important to you, not just important because somebody else prescribed that to you as what the
Right.
path is that you're supposed to live.
Yeah.
And you don't know that if you don't, slow down enough to turn the noise off and
Mhm.
get comfortable with who you are in here
Right.
instead of just all of that noise. All of that
Yeah.
noise is, oh, it's terrible. I people that plug into that and get really twisted up about that, I
Mhm.
I look at that and I think I'm exhausted for you.
Right.
If you're looking around at like all of these horrible things that are happening in this world and really getting, twisted up about it and whatever, those are not things you can change, my friends, right?
Yeah.
Do the things that is working on yourself and being a better person, be the change that you want to see. That's what helps the collective. That's what helps
Right.
us, go forward and elevate and fix some of these things. Not by yelling louder into the void of
Mhm.
social media or, I watch all of these things as people are losing their families because everyone doesn't agree and all of the we're not
Right.
meant to do that. What
Yeah.
are you guys doing? Like we have left the train station and we have gone down a completely wrong path.
Right.
And it is my mission in what I'm doing right now to say like, hey guys, do you realize there's a different way? There's
Mhm.
a different way. We're meant to go this other way. I truly believe that, which
Yeah.
is just going all in on you,
Mhm.
figuring out, who you are, what your nectar is, what your highest excitement is, what your purpose is, so that you can
Yeah.
chase that. Because I do believe also that that's what we're meant to be doing. And that's where joy and peace and purpose and contentment, I think that's where all of those things live.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of years in the noise. And now that I found the other way, I'm like, oh, you can't send me back there if you tried. That's
Right.
torture. That's punishment.
Right.
So it's like, no, I get quiet as much as I possibly can. And it doesn't mean you don't work hard and you don't still have
Sure.
obligations, but it's like you just have a totally different outlook on things where you realize that the fancy car and all of the things that you were keeping up with the Joneses with doesn't matter, and you realize that the things that do are really the simple things in life.
Right.
And really leaning into those, spending
Yeah.
time with your family, going to the beach, these things, don't have to be expensive to do. But those are the things that really feed your soul and
Mhm.
make you happy.
And when you make those choices,
Yeah.
there's side effects to that, right?
Yeah.
Because not everybody's going to understand, whether it's
Yeah.
family or close friends that have been close friends for years. Not
Hmm.
everybody's going to understand those things. And some people will come along and some people will just be like, I can't, like, that doesn't make sense to me. I can't
Yep.
understand why you're making those changes. Right. And that's almost like, for me, I'd look at that as almost like that's the first level of commitment of like, can I do this or not?
Yeah.
Because getting rid of something that's, an inanimate object is like, okay, that's no big deal because it's not going to talk back to me.
Yeah.
Right? It's not gonna come back around in 3 weeks going, "Hey, you didn't answer my phone call," or,
Yeah.
"I thought we were gonna go do this," when you don't wanna do that anymore,
Yeah.
right? And so it's the people, and I think that's the hardest piece, but it's also the first level of commitment to say, "Can I really do this?"
Yeah, and also, we're not meant to go through life with everyone all the way from start to finish.
Right.
And, a lot of people in life don't want to see you succeed. Get
Yeah.
real about that. It's like I
Mhm.
take the example of drinking alcohol, for example. A lot of people drink alcohol. We have a lot of our culture is surrounded by it. We drink
Yep.
brunch for breakfast. We put vodka in ice cream, which, oh my God, I look at that and I'm like, stop it, people. This is terrible.
Yeah.
But you look at that and it's like, if you stop drinking and it's like, well, what will my friends think? What will I do? Like, tell your friends that it never added value and you're
Right.
working on yourself. And if they can't get their heads around that and they don't want to see you succeed, then maybe those are not your people. And
Right.
that also is okay,
Yep.
because it's like
Mhm.
I watch people as they do that. And it's like, show me a list, do a list of pros and cons of what out drinking alcohol, just as an example, adds to your life as far as value is concerned. I quit drinking a long time ago because it didn't
Mhm.
add value, right? It was like
Right.
I was causing my own suffering. I'm drinking too much. I'm causing problems. I'm getting into things I shouldn't be getting into, all of these excuses. And then I spend the week triaging, trying to put
Yep.
my life back together. And then it's okay, let's rip the band aid off again and see what trouble we can cause now.
Right.
That's a hamster wheel. That is
Oh, yeah.
disgusting, right? And so it's
Mhm.
like, again, no judgment to anybody, but get curious about if you're really wanting to level up in life, your people are going to change. That's
Yep.
just how that goes. And that's
Yeah.
okay. You'll
It
find
is.
people who support you and who want to see you win and who come
Mhm.
from a place where they're also going all in on themselves because they
Right.
understand that that's what makes us collectively
Mhm.
better. Right?
Yeah.
When we each go all in on ourselves instead of yelling into the void about how we don't agree with what our neighbor Bill thinks about
Right.
politics, like stop spending your energy that way, people. Stop
Yep.
spending your energy on drinking and numbing. Life is in session. Today is a
Mhm.
gift. You
Mhm.
don't get it back. Like
Right. Right. And every moment is by itself, and you said this earlier, you're either moving forward or you're moving away from where you wanna be,
yeah.
and that's happening in every moment in in really small little chunks, but sometimes it's big jumps,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, I stopped drinking, I don't know, 8 years ago, something like that,
Mhm.
and we were in 2 wine clubs, we were, like, I've still got a bar with alcohol in it, um,
Sure.
and, and my wife is at first, she was like, "But I enjoy drinking alcohol with you. Like, I enjoy going to the wine club, sitting down, doing all the fun things that you get from being a part of the wine," and I'm like, "I know, but we can find that elsewhere."
Yeah. Yeah, and
Right?
do you look back with regret, right? So it's been 8 years for you, right? It's
Mhm.
been 9 years for me. Do you ever look back and think, God, I wish not just one little thing. It's not like, oh, I want to have a beer at a ballpark, but like look
Right.
at the whole thing. Do you look back and go, I'll trade it. I want to go back. Right. I've never
No.
met one
Mm-mm.
person who says,
Not at all.
You know what? If I get to trade today to what it was when I was drinking, I'll go back. Literally,
Mhm.
not one person. And that
Right.
should tell anyone who's listening right now that's even
Yeah.
thinking about, trying to not drink alcohol, that should tell you everything you need to know.
Yep.
Right? Sure. Do I miss having a cold beer at a ballpark? Absolutely.
Yep.
Right. But then I start stacking it up with all of the cons that came
Mhm.
along with it, and it fixes it real quick for me. all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I'll have a water at a ball game and that will also be totally fine, right? Because
Right.
I'm an adult and I'm going to choose for myself things that propel me forward with my goals and where I want to be instead
Right.
of continuing to shoot myself in the foot, which
Right.
is what we're doing. You know, I think that's where the elementary EQ comes in. It's like, but I want to. Yeah, but don't act like a child, right? Like
Right.
we're adults.
Yep.
There's so many children on this planet and it doesn't matter what age they are. So
Oh,
few
yeah.
adults. So few adults.
Mhm.
But when you get around adults who are clear about their goals, clear about what they're willing to do to get to those goals,
Right.
at peace with what their progress is. You know, you said it
Yeah.
a little bit earlier about choices. That's all it is, right? That's the life hack, right? Buy the book, don't buy the book. That's all it
Right.
is. It's
Yeah.
little choices and deciding that you love yourself enough, that you deserve it enough, that you deserve your goals. I
Yeah.
want my goals. I want to wake up at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock every morning and catch the sunrise over a
Mhm.
cup of coffee and journal and do my gratitude practice and figure out things that set me up for success for that day, that make me a better human being, a better
Yeah.
mom, a better wife, a better partner, like all of those things. I intentionally make those decisions.
Mhm.
What I used to do was drink a bunch, wake up feeling like shit. Oh, excuse my language.
Yeah.
You know, all of the things, and I would do
Right.
that, and then I would be like, "Why do I not have what I want?" Well, I don't know. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
again, the savage
Yeah.
self awareness component
Mhm.
of look at what you're doing because your actions do not align with the direction that you want to go.
Right.
Don't wonder, right? You don't have to wonder. You can say, and that's okay if you intentionally want to make that decision. If you want to say,
Sure.
I'm going to numb out for an hour with a TV show, you do you, right? And
Yeah.
I highly encourage people to do that. But don't do it from a numbed out airplane mode perspective.
Right.
Do that from I've had a rough day. I'm going to unplug for a little bit, and that's totally fine. But not just you're going through your whole life like that.
Yeah.
That's sad. That's a life wasted to me because
Right.
what's inside of you is your purpose, right?
Mhm.
I believe we all have that. And if you don't know what it is, it's because you're not still enough with yourself to figure it out.
Right. Well, and you said a couple of things in there, but one, the intentional piece, and I love that because I'll tell people about that with their diet. I'm like, I don't it doesn't matter necessarily. I mean, it does, but it doesn't really matter what you eat. Like, it's not about completely getting cake out of your life, completely getting ice cream
Mhm.
out of your life, completely getting it's about being intentional with those things and not just every night I have ice cream because I don't know how to stop.
Yeah,
Like, that's the bad cycle. The
it is.
intentional because people ask me as a, like as a healthy guy, as a da da, they're like, "Well, do you ever have ice cream?" Yeah, I do. I have ice cream after I compete and I do well. I reward myself with ice cream. Like,
Right.
really? Like, yeah, because it's intentional,
Yeah.
right? But it's never every night anymore, right?
Yeah.
And it's not the
Anymore.
get home and have a bourbon every night and
Yeah.
numb myself even more so I can just forget. And in the moment, there's one piece of that, but like you said, the other piece of it is you wake up the next day and you don't feel well and you don't feel energized. And
Mhm.
then you're chasing what's going to make me feel well. And you don't have a clue what it is because you never stopped to go, this is my goal and purpose. If I do things that head me that direction, whether I achieve it or not today, I'm going to feel better and have more energy
Yeah.
because I know I'm heading that way.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you feel like maybe you're on a hamster wheel, evaluate that, and also
Mhm.
you are. You know,
Right.
because if you haven't intentionally stepped off the hamster wheel, you're still on it.
Yep.
And that doesn't get you anywhere except just another day of exhaustion. You know, I
Right.
look at all of these people around in my life and it's like you just keep beating your head against a wall. Wake up, people.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be like that, you know?
Right.
And for me it's like ever since figuring out in the last, 8, 9 years, whatever.
Mhm.
After figuring out what I now know, I can't say it loud enough. It's
Right.
literally my purpose. I
Right.
understand that sharing and showing other people that you can just swing for the fence and do all the
Yeah.
things. And is failure part of it? Absolutely.
Mhm.
That's feedback. That
Yep.
doing all the things. If you feel like, oh, same. I was in a place for a while where I was like, I feel like I'm eating ice cream every time because after you quit drinking alcohol, that damn sugar
Yeah.
is a real that's a real
It's a real
thing that you
thing.
have to break up with,
It's a real thing.
but it's like, again, getting very intentional about it instead of, okay, I'm just doing that because that's the habit and that's what I do.
Mhm.
I don't want to do that. I will
Right.
make a pros and cons list all day long for anything that comes up where it's like, is this adding value to my life? Does this get me one step closer to my goals or does this just
Right.
continue to keep me in this
Mhm.
it's just nonsense, right? It's just nonsense. And people think we don't have control over it. And, oh, it's a lot of excuses. It's like, take the emotion out of it. Do I want, and then put those two things in your hand, whatever it is, right?
Mhm.
Do I want an extra 30 minutes of sleep, or do I want to feel strong because I got out of bed and I went and ran or did whatever it
Mhm.
was that I was going to do? And then figure out how to set yourself up for success. For me, it was, I'm going to sleep in my gym clothes, right? I'm
Right.
going to put my sneakers at the end of the bed so that they're calling to me when that alarm
Right.
goes off. I'm going to put my phone across the room so that I have to get out of bed. I'm not going to be on my phone for the last hour of the day so that I don't feel
Right.
drained in the morning and that I didn't sleep well. It's like, there's all of these little life hacks, and there's nothing but information and people that are happy to help you. So
Oh,
if you
yeah.
want to stay in that, you can stay in the victim mentality 100%. Just so everyone knows, there's no power in that, but you're more than welcome to wallow in that for your whole entire life. You can waste
Right.
your whole life doing that.
Yep.
Or you can open your eyes and get intentional with, what
Mhm.
do I want in this life? What do I want to pass down to my children? I want better for my children. I don't want to pass
Yeah.
them down the same thing that I was handed. And that's what I
Right.
spent my 20s and my 30s doing, because I didn't know any better.
Right.
I was
Yep.
in the hamster wheel. I was in the chasing all of the stuff, but got to 40, did all of these things, opened my eyes to some stuff and went, holy crap, you guys, this is really great out here.
Yeah.
You guys should come outside and check out what you can do with your life,
Right.
So yeah, but it's getting intentional with things.
Mhm.
And the people that are around you at the bars or at the whatever your number of choices, those people do not want to see you
Yeah.
succeed, because then they lose you in that case.
Right.
So it's like, bring them along, right? Like, for
Right.
people that I have in my life, I'm like, I'm going to be over here doing my thing because this is
Mhm.
way more fun. I'll show you if you want, or I just can't spend time with you because we're not in the same, in the
Yeah.
same lane anymore. And that's
Right.
okay. That's
Yep.
also okay.
Right. Because everybody has a different destination,
They do. Right.
but one of the things you said is that is so true, and I want to make sure people understand this and get your take on it. But you said in that you said that's what I do, right? Somebody says, "Oh, that's what I do. I just do this.
Yeah.
That's what my life is. That's what I do." And my thought to that is like, who am I? Right? If you get stuck and on the hamster wheel, or you're just like, I can't make any progress, I can't move forward, it's my life just, it's the same day over and over, and it's not what I want. And it's like, okay, well, the first question you got to ask yourself is, who am I?
Yeah.
Right? Who am I? If I'm not this person, then who am I? Because if
Yeah.
you don't know who you are, you're not going to have any kind of direction anywhere. Who you are is going to change as you get on this journey, and I'm sure it has for you. It's changed for me. It's like
Yeah.
when you start opening different doors and going, and you're just like, wow, there's so many opportunities that present themselves. And some of them are the wrong choices, but most of them are not
Sure.
the wrong choices. They're just a different path of getting to the right thing.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. So here's something that I have found in my life. I believe that how I came out of the box is who I am,
Mhm,
right? And then I
mhm.
think life happens. I think,
Right, right.
the innocence of a child is lost,
Mhm.
and we start mucking it up with all of the things,
Right.
and we junk on top. For me, figuring out who I am is literally just like clearing all of that gunk off of the
Mhm.
top and figuring out the essence of Anne,
Yep.
right? Like,
Yep.
what is my nectar? A lot of people go to church for God. I go
Mhm.
inward for God, right?
Right.
I do, my higher power lives inside of me. And
Mhm.
so when I'm
Mhm.
touching base with him, that's in here.
Right.
So it's like, I think a lot of people, they don't know what their purpose is and what their other stuff is. And it's like, slow down long enough to stop putting more numb on top of it, and
Yep.
then clear off the gunk that is there. Because
Yeah.
no matter what anybody says, anything that you have that is trauma related or otherwise, you got to reconcile that stuff a little bit. And I know you don't have to do, your path can be different, right? Mine
Right.
included a lot of different things because I had a lot of gunk. But it can just be more intentional about, like, that doesn't serve me anymore, or that's a
Right.
limiting belief. There's a lot of conditioning that we all got, whether it was religious or societal or parental or whatever those conditions were. And it's like, that doesn't resonate with me. Why am I carrying that belief around that I can't
Right.
do anything different, that I have to stay in this hamster wheel, that I have to,
Right.
like, whatever. It's like, where did that come from? And just getting curious, being still with
Mhm.
yourself. I highly encourage people to journal, whatever that needs to look
Yep.
like. I highly encourage people to meditate. not with rules. So many
Sure.
people think journaling has to look a certain type of way or meditation has to look a certain type of way. Throw out every belief and rule that you have when it comes to journaling or to meditating or to any of the things that you want to do that will better your life. If you want to sit for 2 minutes, sit for 2 minutes. If you want to sit for 2 hours, sit for 2 hours. Sit with music, lay down,
Right.
stand up, do like literally there's no rules for any of the things in your life, right? But we come from this thing where parental rules, religious, societal, educational, it's like, no, it's not supposed to be that complicated. Get back to who you are. And once you do that, everything becomes clear. Like I don't have anything anymore that tells me what I have to do other than just what is going to bring Anne joy today. Right. I'm going to skip out of work this afternoon and go to a spring training game. And it's Monday and how great and trouble that is. And also how beautiful.
Right.
There's no rules. I'm taking care of my obligations. I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to, but it's like so many people think, oh, well, I can't do that. I can't do that. Said who?
Right.
Said
Well,
who?
and one of the things that I did when I started my business, people were like, okay, how are you going to do this? What are you going to do? And I'm like, and this was before COVID, I was like, I wanted an online business that I can do from the beach.
Yes.
Like if I need to, I can do from the beach. And this past trip to the beach, we left on Thursday morning. We came back Sunday. It is the first time I took my laptop. I took everything. It's the first time I didn't open my laptop. I answered some emails, of course, on my phone, but it was like, I don't need to. Like everything's taken care of, or it can be taken care of when I get back. Like I don't need to do that. But are there times also where, I'll take advantage of other times? Like I've got a trip coming up to California in 2 weeks. You better believe I'm going to take my laptop and I'm going to work on the plane because I'm like, it's dead time. And I can't get anything else out of it because like if I would have taken my laptop and sat at the beach and pulled the laptop out and worked on the laptop, would I have gotten stuff done? Yes. Would I have gotten some benefit of having my feet in the sand and being in nature? Probably, right? Sunlight. Okay, I would have gotten that. But what I wouldn't have seen was the interaction I saw of people around me and, the what I assume was a college kid who was trying to hit on another girl that was laying down and I was just like, this is funny. This is like, he's over there. And like 3 of his buddies are like, go over there. And I'm like watching this scenario play out and I'm like, interesting. One girl, accepted the advance. The other two like turned over and were like, nope, we're going. We left, and I'm just like, oh, to be a kid.
Well, and also you're passing down the behavior. You would have passed down to your son or to your kids. I don't know how many kiddos you have, but you would have passed down to them that that's okay.
Yeah.
Right. To take the laptop to the beach. Right. And again, I understand sometimes that's necessary and I totally get it, but also it can wait.
Yeah.
Nothing happened that you had to push things off for a few days. And so you were able to unplug and enjoy watching humanity around you and all of the things and thinking back to how fun that was and, passing down to your kiddos the unplugging and really plugging into nature is super important and okay to do that. I think nature in general is really underutilized as far as just people in their everyday. Going and putting your feet in grass, going and being outside and having sunshine on your face. If you feel like you're depressed, just go do that for 10 minutes. That's it. 10 minutes and see how you feel. And once you realize, wow, I feel so much better with that 10 minutes outside than I do with my face in my phone. That tells you everything you need to know. Then you have some data, then do different about it, right? People don't realize it's like we're throwing up data points every single day. That's your data. That's not anybody else's. It's your own data. Use that. You know what I mean? It's like we are smart human beings. Why are we just in this numbing out cycle of no idea what's happening? These are data points around me. If I feel better doing X, I'm going to do more X. If I feel gross doing Y, I'm going to do less Y. That's it. That's the game, right? And then turn it into a game. For me, it's like I do turn it into a game. It's like I have this amount of disposable time. I'm not wasting it watching the Real Housewives of anything. I'm going to go do some main character energy things in my own life because that's what makes me feel good. And am I always ready to do things? Am I always prepared? You talk about starting your business. It's like, is life scary? Absolutely. If you're doing it right, it is. If you're doing it right, it is. You know, we're supposed to be out there swinging for the fence, and sometimes we stumble and sometimes we make mistakes. And, you know, it's like with the book and with the podcast that I do and with all of the things, it's like, am I ready to do those things? No, but ready isn't a feeling, ready is an action. So I do it anyways. I'm a big cannonballer in life. And I believe that I have, you know, nieces and daughters and friends that are watching. And it's my responsibility in what I'm doing to be able to show that. Even if I stumble, I'm going to make that part of my dance. Even if I make a mistake, I'm going to, you know, brush my knees off and get up and try again. That's what life is, not sitting on the sidelines waiting. What are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? You just lost yesterday. What did you do yesterday? Right? Like I literally live the best day of my life every day of my life. Again, doesn't mean I don't do hard things, doesn't mean I don't have obligations, but it's like, where's your mindset? I put joy in the little things, the, you know, the power of now. I don't know if you've ever read that book, but how important is that, right? To be able to like pay attention to the things that you're doing and enjoy what you're doing instead of your mind is somewhere else entirely and you're not even focused on what your life is. I mean, again, I could go on for a year about all of this stuff because I'm passionate about it because I've lived on both sides of it, you know, so I don't come from a place of judgment or whatever. It's like, I'm just trying to be a handout or a sign along the path to say like, hey guys, there's a way better way of doing this. Get intentional about it.
Well, and you're going to make mistakes, right?
Yes.
And the thing that popped in my head when you were saying all that is that there's a friend of mine who was in this, she was in that cusp of like, I'm trying to take that step and I just don't know how to do it. And I don't know. And she was like, you know, so she asked me to come over. We sat down in her office. We talked about, you know, how I had started and how I had done everything. And I was trying to impart wisdom that was imparted on me when I started from somebody else, right? Who was a little bit farther along in the journey. And she was like, okay, but I'm so nervous about going and doing a Facebook Live because, I mean, what if I mess up? What if I say the wrong thing? And I was like, okay, here's the advice that was given to me. It was like, you have 0 followers. Who cares?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mess
and you
up
will.
now,
yeah.
and then get, you know, and she was like, oh my God. And I pulled out my phone and I was like, all right, we're going right now. And she was like, don't make me do that. I was like, nope, we're going right now.
We're doing it right
and now people look at her, and that was 5 or 6 years ago. And she's got a bigger following than I do now.
Yeah.
Right. And people ask me like, oh, what do you think about that? Like you helped her get started. I'm like, I love it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
They're like, aren't you jealous? Are you worried? Like she's gotten bigger than you. I'm like, I don't care.
There's
Not the
W's for
point.
everybody. Yeah. There's W's for everybody. And And when people realize, like when I use my candle flame to light somebody else's, it doesn't take anything away from me.
Right.
It doesn't matter who has more followers, like any of that kind of stuff. You know, when people come to me and they say like, what if, right? When she says, what if I make a mistake, whatever. And this is my answer to them. You will.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of that. You will.
Right.
Like that will 1000% happen. I make mistakes all the time. And then what happened? Right? It's like when somebody tells you all of this stuff, my husband and I started this thing a long time ago. It's like the kids would come to us and they'd be like, well, and then this, and then this, and then this. And then we would sit there and we would go, and then what happened? You know, because it's like people get so hung up on whatever it is, but it's like life just keeps moving.
Right.
It just keeps going. And also, no one is that invested in what you have going on where they care.
Right.
They're so busy about whatever it is that they're doing in their life that it doesn't matter. So live out loud. Do all the things. Say what you want to say. Like try everything that you want to. If it doesn't work, adjust, shift, do something different. You know, like life is in session.
Right. And if you don't go get what you want, that is towards your purpose, towards your peace, towards your joy, towards your happiness, whatever it is that you set your life around. If you don't go get that, you're going to be force-fed something else that's not going to be what you want.
Yeah. And you're going to look back at the end of your life and have regrets for stuff. You know, for me, it's like, I like to touch base with the 8-year-old version of Anne and the 80-year-old version of Anne, right? So if I'm coming from this beautiful place of awe and wonder and living from this 8-year-old perspective, I love that. And if I'm putting goodness into this world, if I'm leaving things better than I found them, then the 80-year-old version of Anne will look back and be proud of who I am. And I want those two Annes to be standing on their chairs at the end of my life, cheering at the work that I did, right? And so as long as those two Annes are happy, those are the only two that matter to me, right? And then finding joy and peace in today's version. That's it. And everybody, you know, when you do that, it's like, at first when I started really going all in on me, I thought, oh, that's so selfish to like put myself first. And then realized by doing that, everybody else is better. They don't want my
Yep.
resentment-filled garbage anyways. It's
Right.
like, even the airlines know to put your own mask on first. You can't take
Right.
care of anybody else unless you do
Yep.
that. So really
Yep.
putting yourself first and saying, what do I need to do today to put my mask on for the
Mhm.
8-year-old, for the today version, for the 80-year-old? Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Make life as simple as you possibly can, and stop getting in other people's lanes. I think a lot of that is it's unnecessary energy, right?
Mhm.
I call energy Skittles in the book. I
Yep.
think that's a kind of fun way to do it because it quantifies it. When you
Right.
realize that you're throwing Skittles out the window at other things that don't matter, like,
Yep.
yes, are there horrible things that happen in this world? Yes. Do you know how you fix that? Work on yourself.
Yeah.
That's it. You
Yeah.
don't need to go in somebody else's lane and try to convince them that your way is right. Work on
Yep.
yourself. That's
Yep.
it. That's all we need. If
It's very
everyone
true.
did that, what a beautiful world this place would be.
Right. Right. I mean, and it's so true, and it's so much like the ripple effect of that would be massive. And
Yeah.
I think the what the younger generations would see would be transformational,
Yeah.
and so I think it would just have the effect would just be magnificent when we look at the entire world and society and where we're heading. And and I agree with you. I've stopped watching media. I've stopped doing all that stuff because it just doesn't bring any joy or anything like that. And then you go and you hear people that are caught up in it, and it's just like, wow, it's just amazing that I used to be there, and
Yeah.
now that doesn't attract me. It doesn't care. It's like, nope, doesn't,
Yep. Just a
because
wall. Yeah.
the 80-year-old me that's not going to be involved in politics, not going to be involved in all that stuff, it's not going to be, still has to figure out where I want to go and what I want to do because I'm not planning on ending at 80.
Yeah.
And so, like, I still got a lot to live.
Yeah.
It's like, I
Yeah.
don't want to
And,
live in
and,
front
and
of
when
the
you,
TV.
Yeah, and when you realize that all of that's a circus anyways, right?
Yep.
The politics, the media, the big pharma, just all of those things, religion, organized religion, all of that's a circus anyways. So
Yep.
why are we plugging into it? Because it's
Right.
exhausting and it just spins us out. Because I
Yep.
can look up and find an injustice before I even leave my driveway. I'm sure.
Right.
I'm
Oh,
sure of
yeah.
it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And also what good does that do? Because
Yep.
I can't fix that there's ever going to be a dog that starves. I can't
Right.
fix that, blah 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 blah. Pick your poison, whatever it
Yep.
is. I can't fix that. But if I fix myself and just be
Mhm.
the best version of Anne that I possibly can and
Right.
shine that light and help other people along the way, because I agree, when you talk about people on your journey, I think we're meant to be mentors and have mentors throughout our entire life. So
Right.
be somebody else's sign, so that you can share that and help
Yep.
them along the way as well,
Yep.
in whatever way you're called to. The rest of it doesn't matter. Like,
Yep.
stop getting twisted up in all of the things that just spin you out and make you crazy. You don't have to
Right.
plug into those things. Just
Right.
unplug.
Yep.
It's literally that people
It's
always
pretty
ask me, like,
simple.
how do you do it? I'm like, stop turning the TV on.
Right.
Delete your social media apps, right?
Yep.
Is it hard at first? Absolutely. But
Sure.
you're the one that benefits. So it's like, why
Right.
would you keep you don't go to the restaurant, get food poisoning, and then ask them for a to-go container so that you
Right.
can bring it home and eat a little bit every single day.
Right.
Don't people realize that's what you're doing when you turn the news on every morning?
Right.
Switch that. Do that one thing, right? Here's a life hack. Instead of turning the news on in the morning, turn fun music on. For me,
Right.
90s was when I was in high school. I turn
Yeah.
90s music on when I'm getting ready in the morning and I dance like I'm
Yeah.
applying for, a show.
Right.
Am I a good dancer? Absolutely not. Does it matter? Not even for a
Doesn't
second,
matter.
right?
Yep.
But it changes your energy and what you're setting
Mhm.
the tone for your whole day.
Yep.
I have control over that. I'm the one holding the remote. So
Yep.
it's like when people what do I do? Take one step. One step. Get rid of one drain, add
Mhm.
in one thing that feeds your soul or that makes you happy.
Yep.
It's literally it. And then
Yep.
just start doing more and more of those and you'll watch as those small choices lead to huge impact. So that's
Yep.
it. It's like it's not this whole big thing. It's just one little step at a time.
Yep. Well, and make sure that you know to control what you can control, right? Don't spend your
Yes.
energy trying to control something, like you said, that is so big and massive of an issue that you
Yeah.
have no chance at controlling any of that, unless you work yourself into a position over years to get into a position to do
Yeah.
that. Like, okay, if you want to be in politics and you work yourself up to be the president of the United States, okay, now you've got control over some things.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
if you're not in that position and you don't want to be in that position, then why are you trying to control it? Because you can't.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and like using the example of the dogs that are mistreated or whatever. It doesn't mean you can't make an impact, right?
Mhm.
Go volunteer at your local shelters, or you can still do those things, but
Right.
sitting, getting pissed off and yelling into the void of social media about what
Yep.
your opinion is a waste of energy.
Yep.
Stop it. Right?
Yep.
It's like you're only frustrating yourself and not contributing. So,
Yep.
yes, figure out whatever your highest excitement is or the things that call to you and plug in wherever you can. That you should absolutely do. Sitting and yelling at your neighbor Bill from Instagram about what his political beliefs are and that he should agree with what yours are, stop it. Like,
Yep.
that's outrageous. People
Yep.
don't understand the perspective of, like, Jerry, where you're looking at it, it's a 6, but from where I'm sitting, it's a 9. And so
Sure.
we're both right. How lovely.
Yep.
My husband
Yep.
and I do that all the time when we're having a conversation or an argument about something. It's like, it's a 6 and a 9,
Right.
So
Yep.
if people would just realize that a little bit more and not get
Yep.
so worked up and twisted up and stuff, life would be a lot more beautiful for them.
Yep. Very true. So how can people connect with you? The podcast and the book. What's the
Yep.
best way to
So
do that?
So my podcast is called Let's Get Naked Podcast. It's about vulnerability and talking about all the things that people are uncomfortable about.
Right.
And so you can find us on our website or all of the socials, or you can go to my website, annkarber.com. You could find the book on Amazon, the Life Hack Playbook, or any of your other online retail platforms. I highly, highly recommend just kind of figuring out how to go all in on you, whatever
Right.
that looks like.
Right. Yeah, I fully agree, and I love what you're doing, and I applaud you for it because it's so needed.
Yeah.
And people need to listen, to follow along, to be able to find themselves,
Yeah.
and then know how to build on it. And so being able
Yes.
to help people with that, with the book and with the podcast is tremendous. So thank you so much for doing that.
I appreciate your time, Jerry. Thank you so much.
Thanks for checking out the Confidence Through Health podcast. Please subscribe, post a review, share this episode with those you love who need a little extra help with their health journey. Visit allinhealthandwellness.com to learn more about the coaching programs that I provide. All episodes are produced by the Social Media Cowboys, your source for all online marketing needs. Go to socialmediacowboys.com for more information.